Hey guys, Rob Murphy from Holistic Healing Choices here. Now today we're having a look at the movie Metal Lords. This is a new movie that's come onto Netflix and for some reason it actually really stuck with me. So let's roll the intro and get right into it. So Metal Lords is a little tale about three kids, teenagers, going through high school, learning about metal and just trying to find their way through life, pretty much. It's a nice little coming of age story about maybe the final years of high school, getting interested in girls and relationships and experimenting with other substances and all that sort of stuff, all rolled into a nice little metal battle of the bands competition style thing. So it's nothing real new. But what sticks out to me about this movie is the characters and how well written they are. Now I use the term well written, like these aren't your stereotypical characters that you'd see in a teenage drama movie. No, these guys are real. They are real life people. Now growing up as a bit of a metalhead and always wanting to be in a band, then leaving school and being in a band and doing a whole bunch of other stuff, I really resonated with a fair few of these characters. So you've got the leader of the crew, Hunter, played by Adrian Greensmith, who does a fantastic job. So he plays like the tough, I'm just straight metal, taking no shit, being a little bit biased about everything else and the way the world works, and basically, while not being a bad kid or like being a bully or anything like that, he does get bullied himself because he's a bit of an outcast. He's comfortable being who he is, or so it seems, because he's so written in such a way that I really see so many of my old friends and people growing up being like that, in that they're metal and nothing else exists to them and they've got to hold on to this thing. And they've got to hold on to it because they believe in it so much, because nothing else makes sense to them. And that they're also even just a little bit scared of what else the outside world might have in store for them.
If you're gonna be all girls with cellos, this isn't gonna work. You need me a lot more than I need.
This is their escape. Metal is their escape. And I mean, I was a bit like that too, myself, so it's good to see someone so well written, so real and like grounded, and you'll see these kids everywhere. As well as his best mate Kevin, who he gets into the band, gets into metal, but Kevin's still all over the place. So he becomes a drummer, and not that he doesn't have allegiances, or that he's not loyal to Hunter, but he even experiments playing other music with the other band in school. The other band that they end up competing right against in the Battle of the Bands. It's a really interesting dynamic there, because he's really good at drums, or he gets really good at drums for various montages and stuff. So he's not turning his back on his mate. He's just like, oh yeah, I'll give this a go with these kids, the popular kids. And the popular kids, they are the most unstereotypical thing about this whole thing. Like the lead singer, guitarist, or whatever he was for the other band is written in such a way that he's just a cool, down-to-earth guy. Probably got rich parents or whatever, but just cool.
How do they do it? They suck. There's 3 chords and I still can't get it right. Well, I guess we'll be seeing you at the Battle of the Bands.
He doesn't care. He's not trying to turn Kevin against Hunter or anything like that, or to steal him away from the band. He's just like, hey, you cool at drums? Come play this wedding gig or whatever for us. Hey, you want to hang out afterwards? Cool. It's the first time that you haven't seen like someone try and intentionally, be a backstabbing piece of crap in one of these characters, also that I've seen. Now there are bully characters in there, and they're the stereotypical jock. They hate whatever's different to them. Yeah, they get their bit of their comeuppance as well in the end, and basically like you're looking at real characters rather than the overhyped stereotypes of everything. Now, getting into the actual movie itself, is it that good? It's okay. There's a bit of humour and everything in there as well, but it's a stereotypical story with these unstereotypical characters going through it. Even the love interest in there, it touches on a little bit of mental health and stuff, but it's in such a way that it's not so much just looked over but it's not made the focal point of anything. It's like, okay, so you have a bit of a behavioural issue or like a mental health issue.
Do you like heavy metal at all?
Fuck you!
That's pretty common, pretty normal these days anyway, so why bother going into it and into the whole medication thing? Although the one thing I will say there with the female lead character is that in a weird way, she likes for the Kevin and her as Emily, she likes Kevin to just lay on her. Even though they're fully clothed or whether she just likes to feel smushed. And my wife loves exactly the same thing. So they've got all these little quirks about them that makes them feel real in that way. Except for that my wife absolutely hates metal. Very musically untalented. That's where the similarities end with those two. It seems like there's a lot of powers that be in this movie. Because there's one scene in particular where Kevin gets into a hot tub and he may be about to cheat on Emily a little bit or whatever, because maybe they're not quite in a relationship, but all the feelings involved. And he gets surprised with a cameo by 4 very big metal gods, or metal lords in this case, who come in and say, well, you go for it, man, hit that, that's the way you want to go. And then the next one comes in, it's like, no, what about Emily? What about her feelings? And then the next one will come in and say, well, this girl's got feelings too, and she obviously likes you, like, are you going to hurt her feelings? And so it's real. It gets that relationship dynamic that a lot of movies just sort of don't get. So what I'm saying, one of the main points is that it's unhyped up. It goes into these things, but it's never made like overly dramatic for no reason. And I really like that about the movie. Other things that I don't like, it's a little bit on the cheap side. It seems a little bit long, and they never delve into the real heavy, good stuff. But it's got a banging soundtrack. When you got the likes of Judas Priest in there, who else off the top of my head? That's the biggest one that comes to mind. I know there's mentions of like Slayer and Metallica and Anthrax. I think Anthrax is in there somewhere. And a whole host more. For people that don't like metal, they're not going to be off-put by this, because it all fits very well into the movie and into the scenes that it's in. Even that little song that they play at the end, yeah, suits the movie, suits the whole tone of the thing very, very well. All up, I love the characters. The movie itself is a little bit hit or miss. So all up, I'd give it about 6.5 out of 10. I couldn't quite give it a 6. It is entertaining and it's a good watch, good family sort of watch. So there's nothing in there that's overly offensive. They mention drugs and they mention like underage drinking and stuff like that in America, but it's never really like shown or a focal point or whatever. They act a little bit inebriated in a couple of scenes, I think, but that's about it. All up, it's a nice, charming, heartwarming little movie with a kick-ass soundtrack and real characters. But anyway guys, why would this relate to health? Because I feel that the relationships and everything that they talk about in this movie are real. These are kids who are worried about the next step of their life as well, and causing so much undue stress, and their escape and coping mechanisms in that as well, and how they use that. And for most of the cast, like the guys in it, they use it very well, and they're taking healthy steps, even if they stumble a bit along the way, without taking your rich dad's credit card and going buying $6,000 worth of drums or whatever the case may be. But they all they have their little quirks and worries and fears and everything else, but they're actually working on it, and they actually start to soften up and just become more well-rounded people by the end of the movie. But anyway guys, well worth a watch, give it a watch. Or have you seen it? What do you think? Leave a comment down below. What did you think of the characters? What did you think of the movie as overall? Anyway guys, that'll do it for this one. I'm Rob Murphy, and I'll see you in the next video.
Cunt!
You can't say that in America.